Zubin. I don't think we thought it would end like this quickly.
Yeah, any other night, that story with the goalie would be the biggest story in sports. But instead, it's Fury over Wilder, and fight two, the legendary trainer Teddy Atlas is here. We were watching it round by round scoring. He gave round 2 to Wilder, and from there on out, it was all Fury. What happened?
Well, first of all, full disclosure.
Full disclosure.
I picked Wilder to win. Figured the eraser would take care of a lot of sins. Tonight it didn't. Also, full disclosure, I've been saying from the beginning of his career that Wilder, and with a lot of attacking, when I say it, especially from Wilder's people, that Wilder can't fight. Can't fight. Never learned how to fight. But punches are not made. They are born. And he was born with that great eraser, with that thunderbolt in the right hand. But tonight, it wasn't there to pull him out of the fire. It wasn't there to say. Tonight, he got exposed because he doesn't know how to fight, because his technique is so good. And all credit to Fury. And I was talking about it, that instead of being a Ferrari, he decided to be a Jeep.
Yeah.
Jeeps can be good. Jeeps can go up terrain. Jeeps can, go up hills. Jeeps can crash into things. Jeeps can knock things down. And my point was that he was going to have a kamikaze attitude.
Yeah.
And he did. It was to just not care. Sometimes maybe it's good not to care. Maybe it's good not to care, to just go in there and go after it. And that's what Fury did tonight. He didn't try to box. He didn't use his greatest assets, his legs, his elusive ability. He used his size, his determination, and he took advantage of a guy who was there to be taken advantage. A guy whose technique was there to fail him on any given night, and his power was there to save him on any given night. Tonight, his technique failed him, and his power, it never got a chance to save him.
It seemed like Fury, once he knocked him down that first time, he wasn't letting up at that point. He knew he could smell that blood, or he was licked the blood. At one point, he was doing that. But it looked like he knew he had him. Would you agree?
Yeah, he did. I mean, a fighter knows what's going on in that ring. A fighter can feel the guy, even in a clinch. You could feel his strength. You could feel his submission. You can feel the little secrets. There's secrets going on in there. If the guy's giving a little bit, if he's not pushing back. Fury felt that. He felt it, and it gave him confidence. It gave him steam to go forward. He understood what was going on, and he followed what he understood the right way to victory.
Historically, and this is where we love having Teddy on, I mean, he's been affiliated with so many of the greats. They said if Fury were to win this fight, he'd become one of the greatest British boxers of all time, right there with Lennox Lewis, who was actually ringside with Joe Tessitore and Andre Ward calling the fight. In history, I know it's just one fight, but for the hype for this fight, part 2, with possibly part 3 coming, where does Tyson Fury fall within the great British boxers we've seen?
I mean, you've really you got to give him a little bit more time. I mean, this was a great upset, and it was on a great stage. I mean, the promotion for this fight was unheard of. I mean, it was Super Bowl ads. I mean, so everybody was watching this fight, so it's going to get all the attention, and the attention that it deserved and that Fury deserved. But at the end of the day, you still got to give him a little bit more of a resume. Let him go a little longer. But right now, hey, he's in a throne, baby. He picked the right set to come out in.
Yeah.
Sitting on that throne. He's the king, baby. He's on the throne, baby. But don't forget, there's a guy over in London.
Yeah?
His name is Joshua. Yeah. I know everyone's going to talk about bringing this back.
Sure.
But can you imagine how big that fight's going to be?
Oh, my goodness.
Let me just tell you something.
Yeah?
Joshua was putting 90,000 fannies in his seat in Wembley when he was fighting doormen from the King's Arm restaurant. Yeah, the guys were serving hamburgers, good hamburgers.
Yeah.
And they put mayonnaise on them over there. That's the only bad thing. But can you imagine? They'd have to build another stadium to put Joshua and Fury
together.
I mean, that's the fight they're going to be talking about. As much as people, around here are going to want to talk about a third.
Trilogy.
I get it. But they're going to talk about that. And you know what speaks at the end of the day? Money.
That's true.
It's always.
Money talks. That might be the future in the present. It is all about Fury right now. Let's go out to Vegas to Stan Verrett and Mark Kriegel with more on this fight.
All right, guys, Sports Center on the road, presented by Rocket Mortgage, by Quicken Loans. Tyson Fury, the lineal champion, and now the WBC heavyweight champion as well. Welcome into the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Stamper right here along with Mark Kriegel. Mark, Tyson Fury said he would come in bigger and stronger. He did that at 273 pounds. He said he would take the fight to Deontay Wilder, and he did that as well. Finished the show in the 7th.
Well, he filled a vacancy that's been around for quite a while now. The planet has a baddest man. He did exactly what he said he would do. He did it with good balance, being more physical, using his size, and using good fundamentals, straight punches, 1-2s. It was everything he learned 10 years ago at Kronk Gym. This is a great victory for the legacy of Emmanuel Stewart, and a great victory for Sugar Hill Stewart.
Right.
Everything this guy said, he told me 3 weeks ago, I'm coming in at 270. Why? It doesn't quite make sense. It makes sense now.
Right. He didn't try to box him the way he did the first time around. He took the fight to him. He predicted a second-round knockout. Didn't get that, but he did get the first of his 2 knockdowns in round 3.
Everything he got from boxing correctly. Correctly aggressive. Good balance.
So he was leaning on Wilder the whole fight and then put him down in the 3rd.
It's a 1-2, and he went forward the whole fight. If you'll notice, most of the fight, Wilder was someplace he'd never been before, with his back on the ropes, moving backward. Here we are in round 5, a body shot. It's good fundamental boxing. And Wilder's never been challenged like this.
Right. This is the first time he's ever been knocked down twice in a fight. As a matter of fact, he'd only been knocked down 1 time previously in his career. So total domination from Tyson Fury in this fight.
Total domination, but you also see how much this guy has come back and how much he has, in fact, improved physically, emotionally, spiritually from that first fight in December of 18.
Yeah, and even before that, I mean, he was really in a bad way, struggled with drugs, struggled with mental health issues, but he found his way back to the ring, and now he's the lineal champion and WBC heavyweight champion and the biggest star in boxing.
Forget lineal. He's the baddest man, and I don't care how many belts Anthony Joshua has. They don't matter as much as what happened tonight. We knew who the best guy was.
Yes.
And I think if they meet, Tyson Fury will dominate Anthony Joshua as well.
So when we look forward now, the best move for Fury next, there is a rematch clause in here. Wilder can trigger the rematch if he wants a rematch. Is the best move for Fury now to try to unite the belts with Anthony Joshua in a fight that would set Great Britain on fire? Or is a rematch with Wilder the better fight for him?
Listen, you saw how much ego these guys have on the way into the ring. Okay? The rematch belongs to the loser.
Right.
Winner gets the spoils, loser gets the rematch. Can you imagine having that huge an ego and not exercising the rematch clause? I can't. If I'm Deontay Wilder, I don't think I can live with this. Unless I am, in fact, going to retire, I don't see that happening. So I think that there will be another fight. I think that there will be a trilogy here. And then there will be some resolution with all the belts.
All right, we've talked about Fury's success. Let's talk about Wilder and what we saw. He's lived and died with that right hand through his whole career. That just wasn't an effective strategy in this fight.
I thought that Andre said something extraordinary. His own corner, as much as I love those guys, they needed to challenge him. And they needed to challenge him years ago. And perhaps there was no one out there who could, in fact, bring out the remedial work that needed to be done for Deontay Wilder. The footwork, the jab, it's too late for that. You bank everything on the right hand, you're going to fight a certain way. Tonight it wasn't enough because he ran up against the guy who threw a really impressive 1-2. Simplest combination in boxing. Yep. But he knew where it was going, he knew why he was throwing it, and he knew where his feet were. And after he threw it, he knew what he was going to do, which is to lean on him.
Wilder had some balance issues throughout the fight. Early on, it seemed like it was his stance and Fury leaning on him, but then he got hit in the ear, and maybe that affected his equilibrium. Is that what you saw?
There were equilibrium issues. I think that was obvious. You know, when you start bleeding out of your ear, you're not going to stand up perfectly straight.
Your ear fluid.
But I think that it was something else too. Fury knew what he was going to do. I'm going to come in after my combination. I'm going to lean on you. I'm going to tire you out. I'm going to test the physical limitations of how you're structured.
Right.
He's not a big, sturdy guy in comparison to today's heavyweights. He's a smaller frame, with smaller waist, smaller legs.
Yep. So put it into perspective now. You covered the fight game. You spent time with Tyson Fury over the last few years. How big a star is he in boxing right now?
You have that rarest combination of supreme ability and outrageous charisma.
Right.
You're not going to see this often. Enjoy it.
So boxing has its biggest star, Tyson Fury, a 7th round TKO of Deontay Wilder to claim the WBC heavyweight title here at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. We got lots more to come later on SportsCenter. Right now, let's send it back to the studio.